This
Okay,
conference will now be recorded.
yeah. So these are the things, various things involved. That is what I want to tell in this slide. So next one, coming to probability definition. So before going to actual defining probability, okay, already I told you in the last class, like why we study and what type of study is this probability. So probability is nothing but it is a theory that constitutes a branch of mathematics for dealing with uncertainty. So like suppose for example, if we say write about sine wave, or write about a cosine wave, or anything like square wave, or write about speech signal. Okay, two different cases. Now I'm asking you about, write about a sine wave, write about a speech signal or speech wave. So in this, sine wave is all, you can write like sine wave is represented with sine 2 ft, or as soon as you listen the word of sine, you will know how the sine wave looks like. Yes, everybody know how a sine wave looks? Yes, anybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so that means what? It is something like a periodic signal which starts from zero, which has a maximum at 90 degrees and becomes again zero at 180, and like that it goes on in a periodic fashion. So that means what? Such type of signal we call as a deterministic signal. Maybe you will be studying in your signals and systems types of signals. There you will come across about what is a deterministic signal. Deterministic signal is a signal, uh, it is a signal whose characteristics or whose nature, shape, structure, formation, mathematical formulation, all that will be known to us. Such type of signal we call as a deterministic signal. That is one thing. So that we know, analyzing sine theta, sine signal, representing it, mathematical formula, all that we can do. But coming to speech signal. Speech signal do not have any particular shape because it depends upon the intensity or the way how we speak. That means someone will speak very fastly, someone will speak very slowly. The signal form, whatever we are uttering, whatever we are speaking out, that should be taken as a signal. So speech signal do not have any proper shape, so it is something like random signal. Speech signal is a random signal. It don't have any proper shape, but we have to give it some shape. So we represent it as in a waveform, like for a particular time instant how much we have spoken. So the intensity level that came out from what we are uttering will give you the shape of the signal. That means the intensity level will give you the amplitude of the signal. Okay, so that is a random signal. So now in this subject we'll study such type of things. Suppose if you have a random signal in hand, how you have to analyze? How your, suppose if your communication system is transmitting a speech signal, so how to represent that speech data, speech signal? What type of analysis you want to do? How to represent it mathematically so that you can program your communication system, or you can uh, represent it. You can do something. That means you can compare the received speech signal with the transmitted speech signal and so on. Okay, so our probability theory and stochastic process is such type of subject which deals about random signals, analysis or representation of random signals. Okay, like that. Before going to the definition, so to represent that random signal, generation of random data, what are the various parameters involved? That is what is our aim to see now. Okay, that is what is this first point. Statistics and probability theory constitutes a branch of mathematics for dealing uncertainty. So in probability we will deal with mathematical formulation of uncertain data. Uncertainty in the sense which data is having what do you say, don't have proper occurrence. Uncertainty is which will not occur, which do not have proper occurrence is called uncertain data. That is what a general English meaning of probability. Okay. And probability theory also provides a basis for science of statistical inference from data. That means inference is we are guessing something, guesswork from the given data, what type of data it is, what it does, how it does, like that. Some inference we can also do from probability theory. Okay, this is what our aim of studying probability. Okay. Now some examples, like how what type of data will we come across, like probability of getting rain today or tomorrow or within one hour or something like that. So that these are uncertain data, you cannot give a correct uh, prediction, correct data or deterministic value. These are the things which do not have deterministic values. Flipping a coin. So whenever you flip a coin, there is a possibility that you may get a head or tail. These are basic examples. Okay. So we will also come across in main through, like what are the real time examples of probability. And then other third example, you can see on a spinner, it will have four colors, and uh, four colors occupying equally sized spaces. So in one flip or one round, what are the which one out of four colors, which one will take, which one it will land on? So like the spinner, I think you know the spinner, right? For lucky draw or something like that, we will be using such type of things, numbering. Okay. So these are some examples of random data. Okay. Then, whenever you talk about this probability theory, that means in communication system, if you are saying you're transmitting a speech signal, then what is your system called as? That means it will transmit from source to destination. So whenever you are transmitting it from source to destination, what type of things are going on? Like what we call them? What are the scientific terms that we use when we are talking about probability? So these are some terminology. I'll be explaining some terminology that we are going to use in further topics of probability. One such thing that we'll come across is experiment, performing an experiment. So experiment may be that what you do in the laboratory or whatever the work we do, the why we are studying. Our studying is also an experiment because we don't know whether we pass or fail, but your failure or success will depend upon the efforts that you put. Okay, so whatever we are doing is also experiment. Okay, waking up, where today tomorrow whether I'll wake up or not is also an experiment that depends upon my lifetime. Okay, so like that, experiment is nothing but what we are going to test, what we are going to do. Okay, so it is a formal definition. It is a process or procedure for which more than one outcome is possible. Okay, but sometimes only one outcome may be possible, like flipping a coin. Whenever you toss a coin, only one output is possible. You cannot get both head and tail together. Only one possible. But only in few cases, you may have multiple outcomes. Okay, maybe one or more than. That means there is some output. If there is some output, we call it as an experiment. Okay, that is one terminology we do. Like whenever it is asked to design a system, it will be said that it will not be said as system. The experiment you perform. Okay, the terminology we use is experiment here for designing any system or implementing any system. Next thing is sample space. Next we come across sample space. So sample space is one which is, it is not like your air or space or something like that. It is nothing but some set of all possible outcomes. That means whenever you are doing an experiment, suppose maybe your labs now is started or not, or if you have done already physics lab or chemistry or whatever C programming lab you have done, you're suppose in the laboratory how many total number of programs you have to do. That is your sample space. Your performance will be tested only based upon, like, out of 10 experiments, how many you have done, whether you have done 8, whether you have done 10 out of 10 or something like that. So all possible, uh, what we say, all possible outputs that you have to do is for 10 experiments. In the same way, tossing a coin will have only two outputs, one is head and one is tail. So sample space for a tossing a coin is 2. Okay, tossing a coin for, sorry, sample space for tossing a coin is 2, because it will have total number of outputs as head or tail. Okay, like that, for any experiment that you are performing, we should know how many number of outputs it will result. So that total number of outputs is called as sample space. So that is what is a formal definition given here. Sample space of an experiment is a set of consisting of all the possible outcomes. Okay, so how many possible outputs are there for the experiment? All those are taken as sample space. And outcome is the word we are using for output. Okay, the end result of an experiment. Then, yeah, this is one example I have given, like rolling a die, roll of a die. In that, on the die, all some 6 numbers will be written from 1 to 6. So 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is your sample space. Okay, whenever you roll a die, you may get 1, you may get 2. Those are the possible outputs. But how many total outputs are there? There are 6. So this is how you represent the sample space. That is, S is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And now one more example I have given here down. Suppose if you are rolling 2 dice together, I think you know, whenever you play snakes and ladders or any other game, you will have either one die or two die. That depends upon what you do. Okay, the way how you play. So if we are using 2 dice, the 2 dice will have both 1 to 6 numbers. So the possible outcomes, how many total possible outcomes you will have? Like 1 comma 1, on one of the die it will be 1, another die it will be 1, like that. Okay, so it may be 1. So these are the possible combinations of outputs you may get. On total 36 outputs. So sample space contains 36 outputs for this case when you are rolling 2 dice. Like that, for tossing a coin, only 2, always 2. Okay, either head or tail. Okay, so this is what is the definition for sample space. Now events. Event is a subset of sample space, like what type of experiment you are performing. Okay, like what we say, it is given a formal definition. You can see it collects outcomes of particular interest. Okay, the probability of an event is obtained by summing the probabilities of outcomes contained within the event. Yeah, suppose event is nothing but the number of times you are performing your experiment. Suppose first time you are tossing a coin, your output, that means your event is tossing a coin for 2 times, tossing a coin for 3 times is your what we say is your event. So that whenever you perform, you will get a particular output. That particular output should be from your sample space. Okay, and the probability calculation of that probability of that particular output is taken as probability of that event. Okay, suppose if you are tossing a coin for 3 times, then the probability of your getting a head will be calculated like 3 times. 3 times for 3 times out of, sorry, how many times head occurs for 3 times. Like that we calculate probability of event. Okay. Then another particular terms that we will come across is random experiment. Random experiment sorry, is the experiment that you are performing, but you will not know the output in advance. That means the prior knowledge of outcome will not be known for the experiment that you are performing. That is what is random experiment. And random event is an outcome or a set of outcomes of a random experiment. Okay, so random experiment is only like testing. You are just testing your experiment. That means you know what you should get, but okay, you know what you should get, but whether you will get or not, that is not known. So that will be a random experiment. Okay, so all these we will be solving by using some problems. Okay, yeah. Then next one is next terms that we come across is equally likely, mutually exclusive. See, all these you have studied during your set theory or statistics, whatever you have studied in previous years. Equally likely is the occurrence of what we say, the occurrence of an output will have the same possibility as the other. Okay, that is what is the normal formal definition here. Set of events is said to be equally likely if one of them cannot be expected to happen in preference to the other. Suppose, for example, tossing a coin. When you toss a coin, if you are getting head, then there is no possibility of getting tail at the same time. That is what is equally likely. And whenever you toss a coin, you have a possibility that you may get head or you may get tail. So that is why the equally likely events will not occur together. Okay, that means what? They cannot occur together. Two outputs cannot be seen at one time. So head and tail cannot be seen at the same time. It may occur, they occur only like one after the other. If one's head occur, next possibility may be tail in the next time when you perform the same experiment. But at the same time, they cannot occur. That is what is equally likely. Mutually exclusive is if the occurrence of one event will not prevent the occurrence of the other. Okay, this is also same thing like equally likely. The if so that means what, for when you toss the coin, if if you think like now tail occurs, there is a possibility that head also may occur. Okay, but not both. That is what is mutually exclusive events. Like one more example we can say is uh, there sometimes it may rain, but at the same time it cannot be sunny. The weather forecast, it will be rainy, but it cannot be sunny at a time. Okay, either it may be sunny or it may be rainy. Only two possibilities independently. Okay, so mutually exclusive is occurrence of one event will not affect the other, will not prevent the other to occur, but both cannot occur together. Only in special cases, I think sunny and rainy both will be seen. That is a possibility. That is also a possibility. Okay, another thing is exhaustive events. Okay, exhaustive events is the in the event which will give you all possible outcomes, which includes all possible outcomes. Okay, that means what? Whenever you perform an experiment, possibility of getting all the outcomes, that we call as exhaustive events. Okay, now these are the some terms that we come across. All these you know already, but as a review, I gave you some definitions. Now, this is the actual part what we are going to see or what we are going to learn from in our first unit, starting with the probability definition. Now, knowing what is a different, what is experiment, what is outcome, what are the different types of experiments you have, all that, by seeing all this, we can define probability in two ways. Okay, those are categorized. This is very important for your university question also. You can, I'll also share previous question papers to you. In that, you will come across the basic question that is always repeated is defining probability in various ways. One is axiomatic definition, another one is relative frequency definition. This is very important. mostly the definition of relative frequency definition of probability is asked. Okay, very simple. Both are very simple. The comparison also you can do in your own way, like if you understand what are they. So probability theory is defined in two ways: axiomatic definition and relative frequency definition. What are these? First, I'll define relative frequency. For example, the same case, let us take tossing a coin. Whenever, suppose you are tossing a coin for 5 times, you are doing experiment. You have started tossing a coin. First time you have tossed. When you toss the coin, there is a possibility that, let us say, you have got output as head. Okay, so you are tossing coin totally for 5 times. That is what is our experiment now. So first time you tossed, you got output head. Second time you tossed, then also you got head. Third time you tossed, again head. Like that, 5 times you did, 5 times or 10 times. How many number of times you are doing, that is up to you. But I am giving an example for 5 times. So 5 times you tossed, 5 times you got head. So now we have to calculate the probability of occurrence of head. So what we say, already we did experiment, we know the output that head has come for, let us say, out of 5 times, 5 times we got head. So probability of calculating head, okay, probability of calculating head in the total number of times you performed experiment. That is what is relative frequency definition. Okay, in total number of times of your experiment, how many times you got head, that calculation we call as relative frequency definition. It is given like this. So limit n tends to infinity, nh by n equal to p of h. P of h is the probability of event that is occurring, that occurred in total number of times you performed the experiment. nh is the number of times head occurred, and small n is the total number of times you performed the experiment. Okay, I haven't given the definition in words here. So the ratio nh by n is the relative frequency or average number of success for the event. So this relative frequency definition of probability is the probability that you calculated after performing the experiment. This point is very important. Relative frequency definition of probability is the probability that you have calculated after performing the experiment. It is also, that is why it is called as a posteriori probability. Okay, a posteriori, after performing the experiment, post to the experiment. You know, prior and post, right? Previous and after. Okay, so a posteriori probability. So that is the basic difference that you get between first other definition and this definition. So relative frequency definition of probability is the probability of the event that you calculate after performing the experiment. So that is why we are seeing like how many times you are tossing the coin, how many times you got head. Okay, that is what is the relative frequency definition, and this is the formula. And this is one more important point, this it is also known as a posteriori probability. Next, coming to axiomatic definition. So already we can understand like there is small difference between relative frequency and this axiomatic definition. Axiomatic definition of probability is the probability that we calculate before performing the experiment. That means your guesswork, possibility of getting that particular output, calculating possibility of getting a particular outcome, only the guesswork, that we call as axiomatic definition or the set theory definition. So in this, what you will do, number of possible outcomes divided by the total number of possible outcomes. How many total number of for this I'll give you an example to understand. For example, let us consider there is a bag that contains 9 balls. Okay, in that 9 balls, out of 9, 4 are red, sorry, 5 are red and 4 are white. Okay, so now you want to perform an experiment, that you want to pick up a ball from the bag. That is what is your experiment. That is what you want to do. You want to pick a ball from the bag. That means what output is unknown, because you have a combination of red and white balls in the bag. But there are 5 red balls and there are 4 white balls. So whenever you pick a ball from the bag, you may get a white ball or you may get a red ball. That is what is the unknown outcome that you are guessing. Okay, now what I say is, let us say, let first time, that means we are performing only once. In that first time experiment, what is the probability of a red ball? That is what I want to know. What is the probability of a red ball? Already I gave you the answer, but how it is 5 by 9? Because out of 9 balls, there are 5 red balls. So whenever you are picking a ball blindly from the bag, there is a possibility of getting red ball like 5 by 9. How did you do that? Out of 9, there are 5 balls, so 5 possibilities are there. That is what is the definition. Number of possible favorable outcomes. How many favorable outcomes of red? There are 5 favorable outcomes, because 5 red balls are there. So out of 5, you may pick any one. And total number of possible outcomes are 9. There are 9 balls totally. So that is how we calculate the probability of an unknown output. Okay, you know how many total are there, how many possible outcomes you may get, that you know. So like that, if you take the ratio, that type of definition we call as axiomatic definition. So now what you understand from this, axiomatic definition is axiomatic definition of probability is calculated before performing the experiment. So before performing the experiment only, we are calculating and saying what is the probability of a red ball. That is why we call it as a priori probability. So second definition is axiomatic definition, which is also known as a priori probability. Okay, so these are the two important definitions of probability. Okay, now what my question is, whether everybody is clear with the definition. Please anybody respond. Yes, so this is what you have to understand, what is probability, how and when you are calculating it. Okay, yes, any doubts up to here? Please anybody respond, like whether the definition of probability is clear. Yes. Okay, so this is how you are going to calculate probability for various experiments. So when a question is asked, you should able to calculate the probability and see the question whether you are calculating it before performing the experiment or after performing the experiment. Okay, so this is how we define probability. So what is my question to you is, please list out some more examples for probability. That means which, for which type of experiments we can calculate probability.
అయ్యో! నువ్వెప్పటికి ఉండవు కదా! కొన్ని రోజులు మాట్లాడితే ఆపేసావు. కానీ నా స్టడీ ఎప్పటికి ఉంటది కదా!
Please mute your microphones. Somebody's microphone is on. Okay, yeah. So what, for the next class, what you do is you bring some examples for experiments, random experiments for which you can calculate such type of probability. That means like you frame the question like how to calculate probability using relative frequency and set theory. Okay, we will also solve problems on this in the next further classes. Okay, now from the syllabus you can see we have completed like definition, only first part defining probability. So in this defining probability, in this again we have axioms of probability. Now, uh, like we are performing experiment, we are getting output. So we should give some values to probability. I haven't put in the slide. Okay, what I want to tell here is at this point, what values we can give to probability. What are the values we can give? Values means whenever you are performing an experiment, if you get an experiment, we say there is some output. If you are not getting any output, then we say that there is no output, right? So such type of cases, how do you value probability? So probability will have only two values. Okay, what are the two values are? Probability can be either 0 or can be 1. Probability 0 means there is no output, no outcome in the experiment. If probability is 1, then we say that more certain output has come and the outcome is existing. Okay, output has occurred. So probability will have a range of values from 0 to 1. Probability will be either 0 or 1. That means what? Probability will be only positive. It is greater than 1. Probability is always greater than 1. Okay, greater than or equal to 0. Sorry, probability of an event, probability of any outcome, or probability of any experiment is only always greater than or equal to 0. It will be in the range of 0 and 1. So this is one of the axiom of probabilities. Okay, so any doubts? Anybody want to ask any? I want to stop here. So today's class only, like, I want to define it and some examples of probability. Next class we will be seeing about what we say axioms of probability, and many more parameters of probability like joint probability. We will also see some problems, solve some numerical problems that will be asked for your exam, and some real time examples for all those experiments. Any doubts? So once go through these topics. I think morning session was also wonderful. Sir gave nice examples. Okay, I think most of the concepts will be clear with that. These are some theoretical things I gave you. Sir gave good practical or real time examples also. Okay, so try it. Look into such type of examples, and you frame your own what we say theoretical concepts, writing yourself, so that while solving problems it will be easy for you to understand what is asked. Okay, yes, shall I close for today? Please ask doubts. Anybody is having doubts? Yeah, any doubts? Okay, I'll close for today. In the next class, we will see some more concepts. Okay, thank you for attending the class. Thank you.